Yes, I'm working as an agile coach, but yeah, still a student of the subject of agile and still learning. And this is one opportunity to learn from all of you as well. Maybe this topic you all might be utilizing, or you might be experiencing this in, day out. It's just a kind of experience I'm trying to share here. Let me share my screen. Let me know if my screen is visible.
Oh, it's visible.
Okay. All right. So we're going to be talking about ChatGPT and generative AI, of how this can be utilized for a couple of agile roles to keep it simple. And the agenda for the session is going to be a bit of introduction about myself, which I gave already. And I hope you all know what ChatGPT is. It's more, but just a brief introduction about what it is. How this can really be used for Scrum Masters and product owners is what is going to be the key focus area for today in this session. But going with that, I thought of having a bit interactive. So I'm having a few questions for all of you, and maybe it would be great if you can, just use the chat to key in your inputs. Even you can unmute yourself, that's also fine, just to answer the question, but chat would be quite good as well. So what do you see here? What is this picture? What does this relate to you?
I don't know.
Maybe you can just have any guesses, that's also fine.
Yeah, some
Someone
people
says
on chat.
partial handle, looks like a pipe or hose, right? Any other guesses? You got 30 seconds to do that. All right, someone says steering wheel. Layout designer pen. Okay, different ways of thinking. Tunnel. Oh yeah, it appears like a tunnel as well. Gas by petrol hose. Shoe. Okay. Any other guesses? All right, in one of my sessions earlier, somebody also mentioned about lipstick. So it yeah. So like it's all weird. It's all about being quite creative here. Someone says golf bag kit handle. All right.
I've not seen black lipstick yet, though.
Yeah. It sometimes also looks like a piano or something like that because of the keys there. All right, let's move further. Someone says curling iron. Yeah, absolutely. Looks like that as well. Just stay there with your inputs. Okay. Is it better now? Now what is it?
Oh, yes, it's a bag handle.
Yep. It's a bag handle. Absolutely. Now the curiosity should move toward what kind of a bag handle is it? Or what kind of a bag's handle is this? That's the next prompt you might be having in your mind right now. Or maybe you have to supply the prompt to your mind. Trolley. John says trolley. Anybody else? What kind of a bag handle? Bag for carrying bulky or weight, you're right. Looks like a bag for a musical instrument. That's a good input, Zohaib. Heavy enough to need a grip. Okay. Let's try to lesser down the suspense. Okay, back to carry cricket kit. All right. Something mentioning towards the sports. And now, is it more clearer? All right, Annie says golf bag. All right. It's a kind of a direction towards a thought process of how we are trying to be curious. And Nagesh echoes that as well. It's a golf bag. Yes, it's a golf bag. But coming down to the first question of the first image, guys, just think about it. Your petrol hose has gone, or petrol hose has gone towards a golf bag. How have we tried to correct ourselves sooner? How the picture comes in and how it is getting clear, right? That's exactly how we're trying to think to our neural networks to unclear the information with some specification. This is exactly what I think ChatGPT does. It's just that we have to provide the input to it, and it basically generates. And then based on the output coming out, we try to, try to optimize the prompting that we do, and it is trying to give you the best possible result which comes out as part of the opening, as part of the generative AI. So if you see here, it was all about our prompting. It was more about, let's try to minimize this. The first question, what does it look like? Can you provide the information about it? You ask this to your mind. It seems to be like a bag handle. Someone says petrol nozzle, someone says iron, someone said piano, someone said lipstick, maybe anything is. The more it got clearer, the more result is what we're trying to get. This is a natural phenomena that we normally do every time if we don't know things about it. But this is more in turn linked to the world of AI as well. And it is all about how we do right prompting. And with respect to the subject that we want to have it, the answers for, and what could be more specific prompting. Even I'm still learning about it, but this is just a representation of how in generic way this has been linked to. So coming to this particular topic, a very brief introduction of what ChatGPT is. I hope you all know about it, but just to give a three-pointer context, it is more about how you exchange or how you get the responses based on your internet text with emotions or with any kind of role that you want to personify through the ChatGPT. It is also about conversational. It can also generate a lot of questions and answering with respect to different content generations as well. I hope many of you might be utilizing already. It's just a kind of a introductory recap to it. But how it has been utilized with Agile? Majorly, this is going to be focused towards on Agile roles. So how this can be integrated with Agile methodologies. So it is more about creations of creating user stories, creating epics, creating acceptance criteria, getting some list of documentations or guidelines, or maybe some kind of team definition of dones. It's also about how you improvise your communication. We can certainly get a lot of insights from asking many different development teams and stakeholders queries. It is also about generating reports and structures out of it. It also uses in testing because we have testers as team members who now use generative AI to generate a lot of test cases and other pieces of testing as well. These are the few areas just highlighted. There are many more, as Vijay already mentioned earlier, but few of them that I have so far evolved and so far used it. I'm still learning on that topic. Maybe many more to learn from all of you as well. But these are few of them where it is getting integrated quite quickly and easily nowadays to enhance the roles. We're going to be focusing now towards specific two different ways or two different roles today in this session. It's going to be more about understanding agility to product owners. So as on today, a lot of product owners or a lot of business analysts, they have this way of creation. We create the backlog item or create the product backlog based on their complete information, their clarifications, their understanding the market needs, and also the prioritization. This has all been done manually today and or manually done by many of the product owners. But it is all changing. Like it is all changing with the effort and time and also the creativity that comes out with respect to the responses coming from the OpenAI or the ChatGPT versions. Now, with respect to this, I would like to take a navigation towards just a second, a practical example. So let's go straight away here. And I hope my screen is visible to you with my chat. And let's try to do some kind of a random check here with respect to any story. So I have just taken some sample prompts here in some of the workbooks so that to make it quite simpler. So let's take a first prompt here, which says, generate a user story in the format as the input desired, and a normal format of a user story, which traditionally we have to create the story for. Let's see what it gives. So it will give you a simple way of example in a format of how a story should be constructed. It is all giving you the examples of how a story should be in that format. If we can ask, can you provide acceptance criteria for each of the user stories? And pick the user story and acceptance criteria in a tabular format. Let's see what it gives. If you are there with me, you can parallelly practice this with me as well if you haven't never done this earlier. If you have done it, maybe there's something more that we can learn from your feedback as well later. So you get the user story, the acceptance criteria, the descriptions for each of those stories mentioned above. It's just a sample of how this automatically creates it, right? So I'm just trying to explain or just trying to show a demonstration of how a product owner will think and how they will do it. But this was more about just to get a story formatted or a story example or an acceptance criteria. If now we go back and create a layout of how a PO will think practically. So I'll ask GPT here, create a user story for leading pension provider, a leading pension provider company who caters promotions or who caters citizens having age greater than 55. This is a small example. And it gives me a story and acceptance criteria. If you see the difference with the prompt here, I have been quite specific in this story creation, right? I didn't mention just create any story. It is more about being specific of what domain you want to have. It is all about being specific towards to whom it is addressed to and what specification of area of people you want to have. It automatically generates a story. At the same time, it also generates the acceptance criteria. So this is the first, just a significance of different ways of prompting. Just to go ahead here, all the predecessors and successors of this.
Sorry, I'm late.
No problem. Until now, we have learned how to create user stories using ChatGPT.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, but yeah, more things are gonna come. We lost Ketan meanwhile. So I'm just trying to connect with him and see if we can rejoin.
Okay, so yeah, I'm back. So I was talking about one of the user stories as an example. A second, we went to specific about the story where I get the answers towards acceptance criteria. Now I've asked a question towards the predecessor and successor of the story. So in a tabular format for the existing user story, I got it for the pension provider scheme. So here we get all the list of stories quickly, which can also be, or that's a mini backlog that comes in. It is all about the story and which story should be the successors of this or the predecessor of this. All right. What do you want to know more, anybody from this group? Now we have created a story. We have some predecessors and successors. Mainly we have successors. Anything that a product, being a product owner, what's the next step you would like to ask here? Any wishes? I hope I'm still connected.
Oh, yes, you are.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, test cases.
Okay.
Yeah, any test cases for this?
Test cases. Okay, fine. Sure. Can you please provide cases for the above story? A tabular format. So it generates a test case for one story to you, right? You can get that done for as many stories as you want. But because we just started with only one story to clear the concept here, all right, I'll just go more here, a deep dive. Can you provide all the user story for pension provider having acceptance criteria? Now look at the prompt here that I'm trying to give it, okay? Having acceptance criteria prioritized using Moscow. Moscow is one of the techniques of how you prioritize the user stories. Listing dependencies between each user stories. Also doing t-shirt sizing estimations for each of the user stories. Give me the result of all in a table format. Let's see what it gives. So you get the user story, you get the acceptance criteria. So user story one, it will reflect back to the story up. If you want the story description, you can add it as well. I forgot to add a story description, which was a mistake. So that's how I'm trying to correct the form, correct my own prompting that I'm trying to do. But it will give you the prioritization. If you have dependencies on user story number, it will give you your story dependency as well. At the same time, it will give you the t-shirt sizing estimation of it. You can get the Fibonacci series estimation as well. But this is one way of creating your sprint backlog, right? You can go further. Can you please provide which epic does the above stories fall into? It will give you an epic pension management as one of the epic. You can go and create more epics and ask them that are there any more epics? How those epics are dependent? What are the prioritized user stories in that epic which are dependent on this particular user stories of this epic, and so on and so forth. It is endless. And you will be able to create a detailed backlog, not only the sprint backlog, but also product backlog. This can go towards still value stream as well. A simple example of how a product owner role can be enhanced using this particular new ways of implementing ChatGPT. I think it's just minimum last 7 minutes in between where I had a lag of 2 minutes as well. Sorry for that. But we were able to generate the epic and the stories. You can keep going on. You can still practice with respect to your access as well to your account. And you can create n number of such things. So this is just a representation of how our AI PO or PO using artificial intelligence with this versions can create stories and acceptance criteria. It can generate the prioritized sprint backlog and create a prioritized product backlog. It's just about a natural language processing inputs and text prompts that you have to give. With that, all right, we move towards what more you can do. As we said, prioritization is that I show you. We can also develop product plan. We can also link user stories to epics that we did, dependencies on the epics, value streams, and OKRs as well. I hope I'm there with you. Am I audible? Am I still connected?
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Yes.
Hello? Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. So a few more things in product owner space that I would like to share with all of you is also about that if you really want to have a detailed epic, right, and need to get a problem statement. Now we have one epic here, and if you really want to get the feature description or benefits, so we can just replace this. Can you please provide? Can you please provide the above epic? The problem statement, benefit hypothesis, acceptance criteria for the epic, and a metric or measure for the following stories. Can you please provide suggestions and epic name with problems? So now we have two of them. I'm just going to take out this one. And let's see what it gives. It will give us the epic name, the description, the benefit statement. It should give it. So this is something that mainly many models where we create the epic, they suggest us to have the problem statement, the benefit hypothesis, acceptance criteria for the epic. All right. The metrics for the measure, what are the different measures of individual stories, how it would be measured if required. We can add the business impact value. We can also add the business value for each story as well. Now, this was one of the stories where we just asked them about the details. Now, the same particular thing will ask is to please output one epic for those stories so that we can roll up. So I'm just trying to change the particular same prompt into just asking them to provide one other epic if required. Let's see what it gives. So this is like where I did change it because it is not linked to the above epic. It is just about any sample epic you want to have and you want to create it. It will generate different epics for different for the way you prompt it. I purposefully made a mistake here of not putting the epic name, just to let you know that in the same instance, even if the prompting is not in the order, it will not link to the above question or it will not link to the above response coming towards it. So we just have to be clear about what kind of prompting we do. And if it is not in that line, it will take up a new prompting completely, or it will take up a new response altogether. So just a simple example of how a product owners should operate or should be using this. And these are basic 10 steps of how a PO can use AI. So this is first step of how agility can be brought in with the product owners. This is also about creating value streams, creating a roadmap for the product for the product owners for next 6 sprints or for 7 sprints or for next sprint programming using safe. This is all a reference as a response coming, but we definitely the product owners have to use it, but have to read. All right. Okay, same goes with the Scrum Masters as well, where it is more about utilizing Scrum Masters, where they have to use this GPT to consider of how their role can be evolved. So let's go and check that. Let's go and see in the new chat of how Scrum Masters can depict it or what they can do. So Scrum Masters definitely have a lot of things. They have their planning meetings, daily stand-ups, refinement sessions. They also have impediments and understanding the dependencies and solutioning and providing the answers to there. But let's take an example of a role-based prompt for generating a Scrum Master from a Scrum Master's perspective. So we are having a particular prompt here as a Scrum Master for development team that works for an organization that makes electric cars. My team has challenges in terms of collaborating with the others, communicate dependencies enough to make sure we're effectively working together. In this situation, what would we suggest? So let's see what it gives. So it will give you all the steps of what exactly the Scrum Master should do. This is more coming in terms of as a retrospective point of how you can really evolve. Just to check, I'm there with you. I hope I'm still connected because my network is a bit fluctuating.
Yes,
Sorry for that.
yes.
Right. Okay, now that we have asked us, being a Scrum Master from this role-based prompt of how they can understand the challenges, and we have got some answers here about fostering the culture, setting clear expectations, a bit of a generic particular answers towards it. But if we go in detail and have a scenario-based situational prompt, which is quite important for a Scrum Master when it basically comes down to, it's again retrospective to act as a Scrum Master. So when you say as a Scrum Master, and when you say I want you to act as a Scrum Master, there's a difference, right? Because it is more about that we try to give him a reference of we being a Scrum Master or as a Scrum Master, what the GPT thinks. But when we ask the GPT that you respond me back being or acting as an active Scrum Master, I will describe a conflict situation in a Scrum team. You will use your knowledge of teaching, coaching, mentoring, communication, and conflict resolution to provide suggestions on the problem, right? With whatever they can, which is basically about a situation which is talking about tension has been mounting among the team members of your Scrum team for quite some time. The stakeholders have unrealistic expectations regarding the future increments and dissatisfied with the team's performance. The technology your Scrum team has built over time is increasingly less reliable. This is the entire scenario that we have. And now in this situation, how is this going to give you the answer? I will give you some time to read this situation first of all in detail. I could just go through this. So it's more on the team's performance. The technology the team is using is quite less reliable. The technical depth is notably increasing. Shortly into the sprint retrospective, the team members start arguing loudly and passing blame. How would you handle the situation in this current context? So let's see, I've just put it this chat here. Let's see what it gives to us. So as a Scrum Master, it is essential to address conflicts promptly and foster a collaborative environment. It will give a step-by-step activity of what you should do to have a constructive discussion, how the retrospective of constructive dialogue can be formulated, how it will facilitate the conversation, encouraging reflection and responsibility, how the communication gaps can be addressed. There's a specific pointers mentioned for each of the steps been mentioned, and how you can have an action plan to it. Based on this insights, we can deep dive more, and the Scrum Master can have more insights to see how he can, how he or she can evangelize the situational responses and practically implement it. This is one way of how
I'm not able to hear you.
can use this. At the same time, because the Scrum Masters are actively there to conduct the retrospective. Am I audible?
Sometimes we lose you.
Hello? Vijay, am I audible?
Yeah, sometimes we
Yes.
lose you. Your
Some
voice.
distraction happened. Okay, like audio.
But that's only for a few seconds.
Yes.
Not an issue, I believe.
Sure.
Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience. It's raining heavily. Some network at my end is not working. But I hope you're there with me with respect to the concept and the content I'm trying to share on the GPT. All right. So with the retrospectives, if we ask the GPT about a Scrum Master, how would you like to run a retrospective, will accordingly give you the with respect to a step-by-step instruction on the time boxes as well. So let's see what it gives. So if you really want to have a time boxing retrospective, this is where we ask the question. We get whether you want to have 5-minute retrospective, what steps you should be doing. So what is the next step for 10 minutes if you have an analyzing activity, the overall conduct of the entire retrospective for 30 minutes or 1 hour. It will eventually give you a step-by-step activity of what you should be doing in that, so that your time boxing retrospective have a good structure, and even it really gives you a good idea of implementing activities as well. This is a step-by-step activity. If you really want to have an open-ended question kind of a retrospective, we can really ask them what can be the powerful questions in terms of the open-ended questions that I can use to facilitate in positive way during the Agile Retrospective. And it will give you the top 10 questions. Coaches, or as team, even the Scrum Masters are team coaches. We normally come up with our own questions, but this is really giving a deep diving, powerful questions in a prioritized way at how we should be asking to the teams. If you really want to have a detailed scenario retrospective to get answers, I've just come up with a scenario where suppose Ketan doesn't get along with Sachin, and Sachin at every previous retrospective has been very intimidating in his responses. The team is impacted by Sachin's behavior. What are some ways as a Scrum Master to facilitate, and what step-by-step approach would you suggest? Can you put this in a tabular format so it is easy to read? So there is some kind of a behavioral issue just happening, and that's a point as a scenario coming in the retrospective, right? And if we really put it here, let's see how it generates the response. It will really give us the actions of what we have to do. We have to set the stage, welcome the team, and reiterate the process, define the expectations, create a safe space, address the issue, provide the context, encourage open dialogue, seek understand such conditions should be conducted, and how it can be addressed in the situation. Just checking. I hope I'm there with you. I'm audible.
Yes, absolutely. Crystal clear.
Thank you very much. And there's one different way of prompting for retrospective of activities with time boxing, that can you design a virtual retrospective activity that emphasizes uplifting energy, promotes meaningful discussions, and leads to actionable outcomes for a team experiencing difficulties and low energy in the virtual environment? So as a Scrum Master, please provide a step-by-step guide with time boxes and ensure the activity is engaging and fun for the team to participate. Remember, the activity should be suitable for a virtual team. So if we get this as a prompt, quite specific in the virtual world, and then we give it back to it, it will design a step-by-step response of how a virtual retrospective should be conducted, and with overall different time boxing activities and the steps as well. So you have virtual appreciation wall. I think we all might have done this for the Scrum Masters, but how more in depth or how more in deep we should do it, I think we got the responses from the GPT here. So all in all, it's limitless. We can go in and do that more, and can get it more for each and every particular segment of the product owner and Scrum Master role. But just wanted to share across these insights of how really it deep dives and gives the output. So based on this, what more we can do? We certainly can have solutioning on impediments. Is one way of also having impediments. I can give an example of it, that we have an impediment. Environmental issues. issues. While integrating versions of code from different Scrum teams. As a Scrum Master, how can you resolve the impediment? So it's just a random impediment I've thrown to it. It will try to give a structured answer with some steps. It's a generic activity that normally all the Scrum Masters should be doing, but yes, it is also about having Scrum of Scrums or collaborating the Scrum teams, evaluate the current integration practices. But the entire detail list gives a structure to a Scrum Master of how he should be thinking in resolving this impediment, when he should involve the stakeholders, before stakeholders involvement, what are the steps that a Scrum Master should really do. And that can really ease out the time and can also optimize the delays. So surely solutioning on impediments, efficient Scrum events, generating minutes of meetings and summary as well. So we definitely have some other tools which I will share with you, or I'll just give the names to it, where automatically that particular tool is linked to your meetings, and whatever has been discussed in that meeting automatically gets transformed into the minutes of meeting or a daily stand-up notes or a sprint planning summary. It automatically comes. Suggestive estimations, as we saw, that really gives us the estimations. Effective ALM tool management, I'll explain that in a while. And it really becomes a good AI team coach if you really put forward a scenario-based or a kind of a team level-based questions on maturity or any situations. This is more about how you can use agility using ChatGPT for Scrum Masters. Before I move forward, some best practices and tips for using ChatGPT in an agile environment. You really have to be quite creative with your prompts, be specific about the prompting and how you can use the prompting with a lot of practice to see in one go what you really want the answers. And then based on your prompting and responses, you can then explore and be creative for the next prompt. Key links to different AI tools. Spinach.io is one of the tools which is used for getting the meeting notes when it has been tied to your meetings. Zapier is one tool which really is quite helpful in getting the responses linked to Jira or any ALM tool directly. And po.com is again a different version of ChatGPT altogether, which is basically quite verbiage specific. So anything you give it here, even if you can type or you can speak up, this will take up the insight and can give the response. But this version of 3.5 or 4, it basically gives you all the other relevant questions linked to the above response that you got it. And it's quite dynamic. This is quite quicker. With that note, I think with a bit of a disturbance and inconvenience into the network, I am done with my content so far and what I wanted to share across. And we have some 10 minutes for the questions. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
Hi, Ketan. Balaganesh here.
Hi.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah. So can we also use it for some coaching conversations?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me give an example to you. Or, if I just put it here, what kind of a coaching scenario, maybe in 2 lines, if you would like to give it to me?
For instance, the team's not syncing and the collaboration is not effective.
All right.
How do we talk to the team members as a group, as something?
Yeah, sure. We can give a scenario here. Team is in storming phase. Very disrespectful. Working in silos. Beating each other. Sorry, no. I mentioned here that they are
together.
They are not focused. They are not agile and very stubborn to embrace change. As an agile coach, how do I coach this team? But there's a difference just to understand when you put a question as how, it will give you options. If you ask a question or a prompt like, as an agile coach, please provide me the pointers, or please provide me your response, it is going to give you the solution. So when you ask how, it will give you different options to you. It is dependent on it that if how part has been asked, it is not mandatory that it will give you the option. It will give you the right answers. It will only give you options. So there's a way of how we ask. So right now we don't know. That's what I'm presuming, and then we ask it.
Role based, you mean, right?
Sorry.
It's a role based.
Yes, it's a role based. You can ask role based. This is where it is going to give you how you can do it. Now it will tell you about how you can facilitate it. Now, if I can ask you, if you can ask, can you provide situational coaching techniques, handle the above situation? Then it will give you the actual ways of what you should be doing. You should be having active listening, questioning, feedback, right? Empathy, conflict resolution. These are all the actions that you have to take it. But the first question was all about how a coach can enable himself to do it. Now, this is the actions of it. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ketan.
Any other questions anyone has?
I mean, many people ask this question like how to make my team self-managed. Maybe the answer would be teach them how to access ChatGPT.
Yeah,
That's it.
absolutely. Yeah, that
On
is
a
one
lighter
way.
note, yeah.
Yes, that is one way of doing it. I saw in a chat there was one question: Are the edge cases covered of prioritization? Can you just explain that question to me so I can answer? I think that was been asked by Rahul.
Yes, hi. So what I meant with that is when we ask ChatGPT prompt to, I've been using ChatGPT for a while now. And when you ask to create user stories for a particular applications, if we are not using ChatGPT and thinking it out loud, putting up cases in front of us, putting hours into it, in that process, what happens is all the edge cases are covered more or less. If you collaborate, think about it, talk to people who will be using them, using some kind of primary research. If it is not possible using ChatGPT that we are able to cover it, can we give it a prompt to, kindly take care of edge cases itself? Is it enough, or do we have to give more prompts? And
no, yeah. So let me tell you, to cover the entire edge cases, of how you're saying, we prompt to a story, we go through the stories, we understand the dependencies, we understand and deep dive more into it, and be specific towards that particular domain and the requirement. But it is really important that we really structure the prompt specific to that particular domain and application, and it will try to give it back to you the required edge cases as well. To be more specific, nowadays we have AI models getting created specific for the business needs as well. There's one of the AI model that I'm working right now is specific for frameworks like SAFe or Spotify or for anything like that. The same way, if you have an insurance domain area, maybe it is all about all the pros and cons, the configuration of the insurance, of how the pension providers work, or how the credit card in the bank works, how the payment gateways work. There's specific AI models which are getting created for specific areas of applications or business domains, which can basically give you the answers. I haven't tried that in detail, but it's a very good question. Maybe let me go and try it out in detail to generate those edge cases, Rahul. Now I'll share with you that in a screenshot to you, because I have not done that in detail to the edge cases, but it's a good question to ask. Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you. Can't hear you. I hope I'm there with you all.
Can you hear us, Ketan?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes.
Oh, yeah, sure. So this is not just pertaining to you, but to the entire group. If you have any ideas about how can generative AI help in healthcare industry, any thoughts on that would be great. I'm actually reading and trying to find out more information about it. On the engineering side, we saw what it is, but from an application perspective, do you have any ideas on that? Not just to anybody on the call.
It is more about generating the product as an AI. That's what you're asking. How we do it?
Not. I don't have a clear picture on that. So I'll be working for a firm which will, in fact, create products for healthcare industry, and they are doing that already. But yes, generative AI is something they want to integrate. I'm doing all the secondary research I can on that. But yeah, happy to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So see, creating an AI model, there are three things here, right? You need to have a front end. We need to have a keys to put that in the front end, and then it is more of a back end to go back to the internet and get the result. But it is more specific towards what kind of responses we really want to have. Now, if it is a healthcare industry, we do a natural language processing for prompt engineering towards healthcare industry domains in the web, so that it connects to the keys of that particular NLP and gives it back to the front end that you're going to be developing on. That is exactly how the high level structure in technicality is how the models have been created and worked upon. That's what I know. But more in depth of how technologically it has been done, maybe I'm still a student there to learn and implement it.
Okay.
But it's a good question, something of food for thought for me as well. So thank you. Any other questions?
That would be appreciated as well.
Yeah.
From a development perspective, whatever you told is actually making a lot of sense. I'm not sure how the development teams across the world, apart from those who are actively involved in developing AI models, apart from them, and the ones who are integrating them, how the world will actually adopt it is a question. Do we have APIs and structured information that can be used to just integrate it into our products, or do we have to sit and model them by ourselves with something? Do you have any information on that?
See, there's a community of AI and Agile. It's more about how they're generating the models about it. Now, as far as what we are trying to do is, we are just trying to encapsulate all those keys, linking it back and integrating it to the systems, integrating it to the applications where we want the applications to run through and give the results based on the applications and business needs of it. But what you are asking is more about how we can build it completely and then integrate to different products or integrate to different particular business lines. So we do have such communities, so we do have such understanding with other communities where I'm right now learning from. But maybe I can try to get the answer in detail for that to you, because I'm not much technologically right now equipped enough with knowledge to answer that question, to be very frank. But yeah, we'll be in touch. We'll try to touch base on the same, and we'll give it. We have a question from Prasanna here. Will it help in generating different agile matrices or dashboards? Absolutely, it will. It will try to give you what kind of metrics you want. It will try to give you a dashboard of how those metrics will look like if you provide the information. Now, I think it's a very good question. I will try to share something with you if you're able to see my screen. So I said Zapier. So this is one tool where I'm still need to get some licenses about it, but yeah, where you connect two different applications, right? And you just put in here, you put in some chat GPT, Google Chat, whatever it is. You try to go here and you just put here Jira, and you do whatever Jira ALM tool you have, and you basically zap it. You zap these two applications, do some operation in ChatGPT to generate a user story, and then link it to Jira. Automatically, all the stories will be in Jira, and you don't have to explicitly create any story in Jira. So for next 6 sprints, your Jira will be filled, or your version 1 will be filled, or your rally will be filled. These are some different tools who are zapping the results from there to here, and they automatically create a dashboard for you as well. So it is just a level above where we see a traditional GPT working. This is like a GPT-4, but it is like having a separate tool as Zapier, which does it. So this is linking it. And when you go back here in GPT-4, you can have the structure of your backlog ready, and they can generate the metrics, but the metrics would be more inclined towards how the Jira is working. So you can in parallel have these two applications working together. There's another one. I'm not sure whether you have heard about this, which is called a spinach.io. This is like your AI Scrum Master completely, wherein you basically will have the spinach.io getting linked to any of your Outlook calendars or Google calendars or any particular like Slack or Zoom or anywhere. And if you have a meeting, spinach.io will also join the meeting through Microsoft Teams or Zoom. You will see it, but it will be unmuted, or it will not. It will be muted or unmuted. But the moment the meeting will be finished, it will generate this particular report for you. Who are the meeting attendees? What was the sprint goal discussed? Which are the user stories been worked on seen so far? And what is the summary of the planning? Same will go for your stand-up meetings. Same will go for your refinement sessions. So it is more about doing for stand-ups, retros, and weekly reviews. This utilization of this by Scrum Masters have reduced the effort of 45-minute Scrum meeting to 15 minutes now, because the entire time goes in discussion. They don't have to worry about keeping notes every time. So there are some testimonies of some Scrum Masters who are utilizing this, and they're finding it quite effective. But it has to go with a lot of procedure to implement it with respect to your calendars in your office. So yeah, in generic, it is working really great when you have a Google Calendar and you want to do it for yourself. So these are some supporting applications, supporting tools, which can really make some change for Scrum Masters and product owners. What's main use of POE as we have GPT directly? I didn't got the question. You say here, this one. So this is more about, this is more, I would say, this is more generative as a text, very clear text here. This is a step ahead where you see different advances been done to the existing GPT here, where I'm not sure that this will work or not, but if you see here, you can talk to the GPT and it will take up the particular insight. So I'm just trying to chat. I'm just trying to talk with GPT here. Let's see if it takes it, because this is a free version. I don't know whether it will work or not. So if I click on here, can you please create a user story on how I can enjoy my Friday evening? And if I just click it here, it generates a story. So this is just a POE next version of the GPT, which we have. You don't have to explicitly write anything. It is just about you speak something with this audio button and it gets it. I think these are all different advances which has been done in the POE, and it is also linked not only to ChatGPT but also to other generative AIs as well. But yes, this is quite preliminary for me to right now utilizing. I'm still sponging this particular data in how it basically works and gets more features. But more specifically in Scrum Masters and PO space is what so far used in detail. I hope I answered your question. If not, let me know. Praveen has another question. Do we have any other similar POE? So now in this particular POE, I'm not sure about any other POE right now because this is the only one I'm using, but you see a different, you have Google PALM, you have cloud, but everybody has some limitations. You can only put 2 or 3 chats because I have not yet licensed to get it, but I'm not sure.
Hi, Ketan. We already hit 8:07 now, 7 minutes past. Yeah. So if there are a lot of questions or people are more interested in having an additional session,
okay,
maybe we can have one more session after this, maybe coming Friday.
Sure, Vijay. That would be great. But before you all go, you can just scan this code and provide your feedback. I apologize for the network issue that I had. Bit uncontrollable, but in case if you have any feedback for me, quite valuable. Also the improvements, so that next time ever if I get a chance to connect and talk about it, I'll implement them as well.
Yeah, sure. Srijit is already saying excellent session. Yeah, definitely. It was wonderful session. And we would like to learn more and more. Anybody would like to speak out if you need any more session on this? An extension.
Thank you so much, Ketan. It's a very insightful session. Definitely, there should be one more session. I really didn't realize that the time is already over, but I thought still we have some more time. But very interesting session, and I look forward some more learnings from you and get that wisdom. Thank you.
So we are also gonna plan some more sessions. So Ketan, definitely I would come to you and then we'll discuss tomorrow about how we can extend it. Yeah, in the mean, yeah. So it was really wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. I have